everyone, and welcome to Club 3, episode 57 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, a couple of things to talk about straight off the bat. A new skin today to have a look at. This is called TAD20 by wozzie. You can go and find it online, I'm sure, and download it yourselves if you like it. I really quite like it. I think it's quite subtle in places. I prefer it, I think, to the big, bold, brash colours of the one from yesterday, particularly. I still quite like the gold one, the SSD gold, but yeah, I quite like this one. This is a nice look. If we go around the place a little bit, have a look in the squad page, not a lot has changed really, other than the background colours in terms of from the original skins. In terms of our tactics page, again, not an awful lot has changed. So it's quite a subtle change, but there's a few layout changes and a few other bits and pieces in terms of on the player screens. Let's go and have a look at Romario, for example. You can see that the squares are coloured in for his attributes on his profile page. A couple of other panels around, which is nice. So I think I quite like it. You know, let me know what you think in the comments below. And again, if you've got more skins for me to have a look at, please let me know what they are. I've got a couple more that I've got so far, but I'm always interested to see some more before I make a decision as to what I stick with. But so far, I quite like this. TAD20 by wozzie. Pretty decent job. So well done to the creator for that. So the other thing to say is that we had a friendly match for England. If we go and have a look at their schedule, you can see that we played Slovakia, rotated the squad around completely, had a look at some new players, and we still got a 1-0 win, which is really good. We have to wait now till June to go into the pre-tournament games before the World Cup starts against USA and Chile, before we have Colombia and Costa Rica in our group in the World Cup. So that will all come up in June. So that's what's happening with England. In terms of what's happening with Derby County, it's going really well, and I love being able to say that. If you're in my other series as well with Lazio, the Reputation Rescue, you can tell that hasn't been going particularly brilliantly recently, although we're still going with it. I've got an episode coming of that tomorrow, and we are still getting the odd board statement saying that if I don't do well in the next game, I might lose my job and all that kind of stuff. But we've got through most of a January transfer window, made some changes, made a formation change in terms of what we've been working on in the last couple of episodes. So it's been pretty good, but still we're on the edge of still losing a job. So join me for that tomorrow. But for today it's Derby County, and as I say, things have been going pretty well. I'm very, very happy with where we sit in the Premier League, especially. So you and I were together last. Where were we together last? It was the Chelsea match, wasn't it? The 1-0 win against Chelsea. Apologies for the poor sound on that. I don't really know what happened. I hope today is better. Obviously, at the time of recording, I don't necessarily know that it is, but fingers crossed that it is. It shouldn't be a problem. So since then, we did go through in the Europa League against Napoli. Having won the first leg 2-0, we drew the second leg 0-0 and went through 2-0 on aggregate. Then a good run of fixtures. Fulham we beat, Everton we beat, both in the Premier League, before we got drawn against Real Betis from Spain in the Europa League Quarter Final. And the first leg, we got a 2-0 win there as well, at home. And today we will be playing the second leg in this particular episode to see if we can get through to the semi-finals of the Europa League. The last game that we played, a slightly rotated 11 for Watford. It didn't quite work out. We should have still won the game. We didn't. We got caught out a little bit, and in the end it was a 1-1 draw. A bit disappointing, absolutely, but in the big scheme of things, when we're trying to battle so hard on the Europa League front and the Premier League front, I think we're doing pretty well. So what does it mean for the league table as we go into a Europa League day? The league table has us in 4th place. So we have held on to that top 4 spot just as we wanted to so far this season. Now, that was our aim. So far we've got it, but you can see that the likes of United and Arsenal are hot on our heels. And we've got about, 5 games left, and we've got to keep winning. We've got to keep the momentum going, because if we don't, those two big sides are going to come at us and overtake us. But we are also in touching distance of 3rd place with Liverpool, so it's not a foregone conclusion as to where we're going to finish in the top sort of 6 yet. But I'm happy so far that we are doing the job that we were supposed to be doing in trying to get into that top four, especially considering that the likes of Loku Doku left last summer and Knoll left in January. Two really, really important players for us. Big money moves for them. So yeah, I'm happy that in the end we are doing ourselves justice and currently sitting in fourth. But for today, it's all about the Europa League. It's all about Real Betis. As I say, a 2-0 win in the first leg. So let's see if we can complete the job today and go through over the two legs. In terms of injuries, you can see that we're injury-free, which is fantastic at this point in the season. I have been able to rotate the side a little bit, give everybody minutes and keep everybody ticking over and keeping them all fit. There's been a couple of little minor changes in the starting 11. Well, one really. But the starting 11 has got Ivan in it rather than Joku. Ivan is developing very, very nicely. At the age of 22, you can see that as a deep-lying playmaker in that defensive midfield role, a passing of 18, a vision of 15, some decent physical attributes, very good mentally. He's coming on leaps and bounds, so he has overtaken Joku a little bit in the pecking order. You can see they both play the role slightly differently, but both very well, both in the 7s as an average rating, so that's good. So he's come into the setup, and we've been experimenting a little bit with Batista, the new guy that we bought in January. This guy, he's decent as well. He's good young central defender, and we've been experimenting with him alongside Romario here and there. But for a big game like the Europa League, I'm still not quite prepared to let Raul Betis out the side just yet. Although you can see his attributes are not quite as strong. He's got experience, he's got some good physicals and some good mentals here and there, but his technicals aren't as good as they could be. And maybe this is the last season for him. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So all of that means the fact that we've got a completely clean bill of health. It means that ILM is in goal with Bogle at right back, Pellegrini at left back, Romario and Raul Betis in central defence with Ivan, Olashenko and Martinez in central midfield with Alart on the right, Guive on the left and Pauletta up top, with a bench of Batista, Matheson, Joku, Barnils, Elliott, Farrow and Monterese. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I've told the players I fully expect them to keep our run going, our good run of form and win this particular match. Ultimately, all I care about really is going through on aggregate. So whatever happens today, as long as we go through, don't really care. As long as we don't get, any huge injuries and other bits and pieces. Oh, great effort by Olart off that free kick on the right-hand side of the penalty box. Wins it back again, but then eventually Betis get the ball clear. But really good curling free kick in at goal, wasn't it? And eventually Betis managed to scramble it clear. But a good start for us. They caused us one or two issues in the first leg. But we did play well. Pauletta, I think it was the star of the show on that particular occasion. And on this occasion, it might just be Guive. Guive with a fantastic opportunity to pick the ball up down that left-hand side of Pauletta and Pellegrini out there. Cuts inside into Olashenko into Guive. Cuts it onto his right foot. And they're very square onto the goal and not far away from the keeper. You would have imagined he'd have made an effort for it. But it just rocketed past him before he could even think about it. And what a fantastic strike it was. And that puts us 3-0 up on aggregate. And I would say pretty much safe at this point in the tie, unless we completely self-implode. So let's just make sure that we don't do that. That was a wayward ball by Betis, who don't seem to be the strongest side in the world by any stretch. And I think we're doing pretty well to demonstrate our good run of form in the Europa League. Alart again on the right hand side has a pot shot, but just slightly narrowly wide. The one thing that I would tell you about our Europa League, which I meant to show you in the schedule before the game started and I forgot to do it, to be honest, Martinez goes close, is that if you look at our run on the Europa League this season, we haven't let a goal in. I was quite stunned when it came up as one of those kind of records that they talk about, a new record in the Europa League. And so we've had like 15 games or whatever it is, I can't remember exactly. but we've not let a goal in this season. We've had 1-0 draw, and the rest have been victories for us, and it's a great run in a European competition. If we can get to the semi-finals, which it looks like we're going to do, it depends on who we get as to whether we can get past them to the final. But reaching the semis for Derby County in the first season in Europe in a very, very long time is absolutely exceptional. I'm so delighted with how that's going, especially because we're also challenging where we want to be in the league as well, in that top 4 position. So it's gone pretty well. The domestic cup competitions had to go by the wayside a little bit this season, but all in all, it's been fantastic. So we'll go with the assistant. He'll tell them that their efforts were excellent. We'll send them straight back out for the second half. No need to change anything at this point. We're all doing very, very well and playing pretty well. You can see in terms of the match stats, our possession is down slightly, which is surprising. So they are obviously playing some form of controlled possession themselves. But look at those attempts at goal. We've had 8, and they've only been they've only had the 1. Sorry, my mind went blank then as I was trying to focus on the highlight as well, as Betis come down the right-hand side for them. And as my phone goes, hang on a second. So you haven't missed anything. I have paused the game up until the point where my phone rang, and indeed it was my mother. Your mum always calls you, even when you're in your 40s and you're living out with your wife. Your mum always calls you at the most inopportune moments, doesn't she? Anyway, corner kick. Let's see what happens. Oh dear. Okay, so Betis with the corner kick. Let's see if we can defend it well and maybe even counter-attack on them. We get it partially cleared, but they pick up the loose ball again. We don't seem to be winning the loose balls again. This is a big problem. We do some good challenging and some good pressing of the play, but those loose balls never really seem to fall to us that often. Anyway, Betis with another corner kick. What can we do with this one? And Guive picks it up down the left-hand side and gets a good distance on him, which is fantastic. Has the rest of the team travelled with him, or is he on his own? He's had to draw it backwards slightly just to keep hold of the play, and we do it. We keep it really very nicely. Time to make a couple of substitutions and try and keep people fit and healthy, if at all possible. So we've got some yellow cards more than anything else is the issue. So let's see if we can take Olart out and put Elliott in. We'll take Martinez out and put Barnils in. And then the only one that's playing really badly, I will leave Romario in there, is Pauletta up top on a 6.5. So Monterese comes in for him. And we'll just see whether that can do anything in terms of keeping the momentum moving forward, some fresh legs on the pitch. We've got 5 minutes left. Can we hold on to a decent 1-0 win in this game? I think the tie is done. Can we win the match? And we do. It's quite quiet towards the end, which is actually quite okay by me really, just to get through to that final whistle. And we make it through to the semi-final of the Europa League, which is fantastic. Passionately, I'm very pleased with the result and your performance. Well done. That's brilliant. We'll go out, just check on a couple of players and see what their yellow card status is, because there might be a couple of issues in there. We win in the quarterfinals. Triumph. The first leg helps us get through. We get 1.29 million, which always helps us. And we get Norwich. Okay, Norwich in the Europa League. What's the other tie? Leipzig versus Chelsea. Well, you would imagine Chelsea, being top of the Premier League at the moment, would probably be favourites to that and might go through. So it's going to be a tricky final for Norwich or ourselves, whoever gets through there. But I'm quite happy with that. Norwich is not a bad team for us to be playing, I think, in a semi-final of European competition. So I will take that, and let's see what we can do with that as it sort of continues, this season continues to roll on. So the fixture list has changed, and so we will now be back. The Premier League is going to take care of itself pretty much. I think we're doing pretty well, and I hope to maintain that top 4 spot. But we're going to shift the view a little bit to the Europa League and to the second leg of that semi-final to see if we can get through to the final at least and end another season with a cup competition final, which would be amazing to be able to do. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that. In terms of everything else that's going on, the Premier League, as I say, is going to tick along in the background a little bit, but of course I will update you on everything that's going on. But I hope that we can maintain this top four. Let's just go back into the schedule and just check those last Premier League matches, because there's a couple of challenging ones. Southampton Leeds shouldn't be too bad. Man United is in there. Leicester is a difficult one. West Ham to finish. So there's some tricky moments, but I hope ultimately we'll be able to sustain the form that we've had right the way through to the end of the season and see if we can get that top four finish. So come back and join me for next episode. See how we're doing in the Premier League. Check in with my Europa League form as well. See what happened in the first leg there. And we'll play the second leg against Norwich City. So it's going to be a good episode, I hope. So I hope you'll join me for it. Thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And join my United City community. The more the merrier. If you like this particular episode, then click a like on it for me. Help me get seen by lots of other people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.